Out in the wild deserts of New Mexico, a lone cowboy discovers a wounded Apache woman collapsed beneath the burning sun. But when he lifts her into his arms, she whispers something that freezes his heart. "No one wants me, I need a husband." What begins as an act of rescue turns into a battle between cultures, honor, and destiny, forcing one man to choose between safety and a woman who has already lost everything. This is the unbelievable true-to-life frontier story of survival, forbidden traditions, and a love born from desperation. The desert sun was sinking low across the wide New Mexico plains as Luke Travis guided his horse through the fading heat. The land glowed gold, stretching endlessly in every direction, silent except for the soft rhythm of hooves against dry earth. Luke was used to such quiet. A cowboy's life offered little company besides cattle and wind, but today felt different. Something in the stillness tugged at him. His instincts sharpened when he noticed a small movement near a cluster of mesquite bushes. A figure slumped forward as if fighting to stay upright. Luke slowed, eyes narrowing with caution. He dismounted carefully, his hand resting near the grip of his revolver. In these parts, anything unexpected could be danger. As he approached, the figure shifted, revealing tangled black hair and trembling shoulders. It was a woman, an Apache woman, exhausted and barely conscious. Her clothing was torn, her breath uneven, her strength almost gone. Luke knelt beside her, scanning the desert for signs of an ambush. Nothing moved. No horses, no shadows, no war cries. Just her alone, fragile, and looking at him with fearful, desperate eyes. Luke spoke gently, unsure if she understood English. "Easy now, I'm not here to harm you." The woman blinked slowly, gathering what little strength she had left. Her lips parted as though forming words took effort. When her whisper finally came, it hit Luke with a force he didn't expect. "No one wants me, I need a husband." Luke froze, stunned. That was the last thing he thought she'd say. He looked around again, confused, trying to make sense of her words, but she repeated them with heartbreaking sincerity, as if begging for her life. He tried to steady her as she swayed. "Ma'am, you're hurt, let's get you safe first." But she shook her head weakly. "No, you do not understand. I cannot go back. I am alone. My tribe will not take me. Without a husband, I am nothing." Her voice trembled, not just from exhaustion, but from deep, painful truth. Luke felt something tighten inside him. Whatever this woman had endured, it was more than physical suffering. She was carrying fear, shame, and a desperation he had never seen before. Still, he knew she needed shelter. He lifted her gently and helped her onto his horse. She leaned against him, her body trembling with fatigue, but she held onto him with quiet trust. Every few minutes her whisper floated up again. "No one wants me, I need a husband." Luke didn't respond. He didn't know what to say. He rode fast, keeping her steady with one arm as the desert wind carried sand across their path. The ranch came into view, weathered wood, hanging lanterns, and the comforting smell of hay. Luke dismounted and carried her inside, heart heavier than before. She sat near the fire, warming her cold hands while Luke fetched water and bread. She took small bites, her eyes fixed on the flames as if they were telling a story only she could hear. When he finally asked her name, she answered softly, "Taya." Luke repeated it quietly, "Taya," strong yet soft, just like her spirit. He asked how long she'd been wandering. Her answer was simple but painful. 3 days, I ran." Luke nodded, waiting, and the truth came out piece by piece. Her father had arranged a marriage with a man she feared. She refused. Her refusal, she explained, brought shame to her family and dishonor to her clan. Women were expected to obey, to protect alliances, to preserve peace between groups. But Taya's heart rebelled. She wanted freedom, choice, a life that belonged to her. "They cast me out," she whispered. "A woman without a tribe is lost. I cannot survive alone. I must find a husband or my spirit will die." Luke listened, stunned by the rawness of her words. He had grown up with freedom. The idea of losing one's place for wanting a choice was unimaginable to him. He told her she was safe for now. She studied him with a gaze that made him uneasy, not because it frightened him, but because he felt the weight of her hope. "You are kind," she murmured. "You did not leave me to die. A man who saves a woman's life in my people's way, he may become her husband." Luke's breath halted. He raised his hands gently. "I didn't save you for that reason." Taya nodded slowly but didn't look away. Her voice softened. "I know, but I had to ask." Her dignity touched him deeply. That night, Luke arranged a small place for her in the barn loft, warm blankets, a bucket of water, a lantern. She thanked him with quiet gratitude, almost reverence. In the days that followed, Taya regained strength. She moved gracefully through the ranch, helping with chores, tending animals, and cooking meals unlike anything Luke had ever tasted. She worked without complaint, her presence soft yet steady. But beneath her calm exterior, Luke sensed an ocean of sadness. Sometimes he caught her staring at the horizon, as if searching for a home she no longer had. One afternoon, Luke found her sitting by the corral, watching the horses run through the dust. The wind tugged gently at her dark hair. He sat beside her. "You miss your people?" he asked. Her answer broke something inside him. "Every moment, but I cannot return. I chose my freedom and lost everything." Luke didn't speak. He didn't know how to soothe a pain this deep. Taya turned to him slowly. "I am still alone, Luke. My heart cannot stay in emptiness forever." Her words lingered between them, heavy with longing and fate. Neither of them could escape. Luke didn't know when the shift began, but each day with Taya settled deeper into him. She moved with quiet purpose. Her presence brought warmth to the cold corners of his solitary ranch. But he tried to keep a careful distance, not because he feared her, but because he feared what her expectations might mean. One evening, as the sky turned violet, he found her grinding herbs near the porch. She lifted her eyes and asked gently, "Luke, do you fear me?" The question caught him off guard. "No," he whispered, "I fear failing you." Her breath trembled. Taya placed the herbs aside and sat a little closer. "In my people's way," she said softly, "a woman cannot stay long with a man unless bonded. It is our belief that a spirit without belonging grows weak." Luke stared at the fading horizon. "I don't want to trap you," he murmured. "If I ever say yes, it will be because I choose you, not because I feel obligated." Taya nodded. "A choice of the heart is the strongest bond." Silence rested between them, warm yet heavy. Something unspoken had begun to bloom. Everything changed the next morning. Hoofbeats thundered from the ridge, kicking up dust like a storm. Luke grabbed his rifle, scanning the distance. A group of riders approached, Apache warriors. Taya stiffened instantly, fear tightening her shoulders. Luke stepped in front of her instinctively. When the warriors dismounted, their leader, a tall man with stern eyes, stepped forward. "We seek a woman," he said coldly. "She has shamed her family. She must return." Taya shook her head violently. "I will not go back." The man's gaze hardened. "You belong to your clan, not to this cowboy." Luke stood firm. "She ain't property," he said sharply. "She has the right to choose her own life." The warriors murmured angrily. Their leader glared. "Her choice brings war between families. She is promised to another. If she refuses, blood will spill." Taya stepped forward, voice shaking but strong. "I would rather die than be forced." The warrior raised his hand in warning, but Luke blocked him. "If she dies here, it'll be because she chose freedom. You got no claim on her." The tension ignited. Hands reached for weapons, anger burning in the air. Before violence erupted, an older warrior stepped between them. His hair was gray, his presence calm but commanding. "Enough," he said deeply. He studied Taya's face with sorrow. "Child, is this truly your wish, to leave your people?" Tears filled Taya's eyes. "I want a life of my own choosing." The old warrior nodded slowly, then looked at Luke. "Cowboy, will you protect her? Will you honor her spirit? If she stays with you, she cannot return. Her world becomes yours forever." Luke felt the weight of the question settle, like stone, on his chest. Taya turned to him, her eyes wide, vulnerable, hopeful. "Luke, I cannot walk two paths. If you want me to stay, I will stay. If not, they will take me." Her voice trembled but did not break. Luke looked into her eyes, eyes that had endured fear, exile, and loneliness, eyes that had found safety only beside him, and he felt something inside him finally give way. "Taya," he whispered, "I won't let them take you. If you want to be here, then this is your home, and I'll stand by you. Not because I must, because I choose to." A long silence followed. The old warrior nodded with acceptance. "Then it is done," he said. The younger warriors looked uncertain, but tradition bowed to the elder's wisdom. "Treat her well, Cowboy," the elder warned. "She carries the spirit of her ancestors." Luke nodded firmly. "I will." Taya watched as the warriors mounted their horses and disappeared into the horizon, carrying the last remnants of her old life. When the dust settled, she collapsed into Luke's arms, letting out a sob that held both grief and relief. He held her silently, knowing a new chapter had begun. The days that followed were gentle, filled with a fragile peace. Taya moved through the ranch with new confidence, no longer as a wanderer, but as someone who belonged. She laughed more, sang while grinding herbs, and sometimes braided her hair with small feathers she found near the creek. Luke found himself drawn to her in ways he had never expected. her courage, her tenderness, the way she looked at him like he was the solid ground she needed. One evening, she approached him as he repaired a fence. "Luke," she whispered, "what does your heart say about me?" He set the hammer down slowly. "It says you're the strongest woman I've ever known. It says you deserve someone who won't run from what you've survived." She stepped closer. "And is that man you?" Luke swallowed hard. "Yes," he said, "it is." She reached out, touching his hand. "Then let me stay, not as a burden, not as someone seeking rescue, but as a woman who chooses her partner." Luke placed his hands gently on her shoulders. "Taya, I choose you too." Her smile trembled with emotion, and the evening wind wrapped softly around them. Weeks later, under the warm glow of lanterns and the quiet vastness of the desert, Luke and Taya stood together beside the corral. She wore a simple dress Luke's neighbor helped sew, while he wore his cleanest shirt. There was no priest, no tribal elder, just two souls choosing each other freely. Taya placed her hand over his heart. "From this day," she whispered, "my spirit walks with yours." Luke kissed her forehead gently. "You're home now, Taya. You'll never be unwanted again." As the stars brightened overhead, their new life began, built not from desperation, but from choice, courage, and love.